This is Amanda Dickens. I will be speaking with my great-grandmother, Ruby Passalacqua, about the Great Depression and World War II era. The Great Depression lasted from 1929 to 1939. World War II lasted from 1939 to 1945, but the United States entered in 1941 after Pearl Harbor. To help the war effort, women at home took jobs that were left unfilled after men went to fight in the war in 1941, and supplies were rationed to go to the troops. So, what is your full name?
Ruby Louise Connor Saunders Passalacqua. That's my full name.
Okay. When and where were you born?
I was born in Halifax County, April 13, 1919.
Okay. Could you tell me what the Great Depression was like for your family?
I could tell it in one word. It was awful. People were jumping out windows, high stores killing themselves because they didn't have jobs and couldn't feed their family. In New York and around, they were doing that. I've seen my daddy cry because he didn't have any money, and he worked hard all summer to make some money, but just wouldn't get anything for what he worked for. It was still, when Norman and I got married in 35, he would work at a sawmill for 50 cents a day. We'd get two cans of WWII salmons for that 50 cents and think we had a big meal. It was awful. I hope you folks never have to go through it. You just don't know where to go. And nobody could help anybody because nobody had anything. They all was in the same boat that we were in. I know with Christmas, my aunt married a guy that was casted during the World War I. I think he just shook and licked his hands at it, but he got a good check. Every Christmas he'd bring a sack full of goodies down to us. We were so happy to see him come because that's all the time we got apples and oranges and candies and nuts. It was terrible.
Could you tell me about your clothes again?
My clothes.
Yeah.
Mama made my clothes till I turned 14. What people didn't give me. And then I made my own clothes. Never had bought clothes. My soles would come off my shoes, and Daddy would have to put them back on. I wouldn't wear my grandmother's clothes. I'd wear anything anybody would give me, just to have clothes to put on.
Okay. When did you and Norman get married?
1930, wait a minute. And when we got married, 35.
35.
October 28th, 1935.
Okay. And you said he was in the military?
He went in the military in 1944. Is that what you asked me?
Yeah. Could you tell me about him being in the war?
Yeah, he got to come home on one furlough, and then he was sent overseas. And I got him home on an emergency furlough. He, the war was over, and he was still over there, and I had two kids, two little boys to raise, and I wasn't well, my blood pressure was low, my blood count was low, and I could hardly move around, so I got busy and got the Red Cross to help me, and I got him home.
Do you have any stories from him being in the military?
And what?
Stories of him being in the military? The ones that you told me earlier?
Somebody told me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he told me he was in a foxhole early one morning, and there was a ridge I mean, you call it a ridge, and you could see 5 German soldiers marching, and he had a machine gun. He shot it at one of them. I don't know if that's the story you want, but that's.
Do you remember the stories that you told me while you were sitting here? The ones about him,
From the hand grenade.
and that one, and the one of him in the concentration camp?
Oh yeah, he had to liberate Buchenwald prison camp. He said it was the awfulest sight he's ever seen. People starved to death. But he was happy to be able to be a part of it. They put him in box cars, just pack them up, stand it up, not telling them where they were going, and take them to these concentration camps. That was me.
While you were at home during the war, did you have to ration supplies?
Yeah. Certain things that you could grow, you didn't have to.
So what would you ration?
Just coffee and sugar and flour and stuff like that.
Meat? Did you have to ration meat?
Meat. We raised our meat, so I don't know whether they did or not.
How did you handle being at home during the war as a mother?
Well, I was mostly a disciplinarian anyway, and I took care of them, so I made it pretty good. Not much difference than when he came home, 'cause he worked and I didn't.
Did you find a job while he was over in the war? No?
You couldn't if you wanted to. There was no jobs.
Alright, do you remember movies? Movies during that time?
Movies?
Were there any movies about the war or promoting the war effort?
No, I never got to see the movies.
Did you see posters over all around town saying to, ration coffee or ration things?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Like Rosie the Riveter?
Like what?
Rosie the Riveter? Are you familiar with her? No? Alright.
Not at all.
Okay, never mind. Let's see. Could you tell me about Norman's rank in the Army? And
He was, oh goodness. Oh, my mind stops sometimes. Corporal. He was corporal of 5-something corporal. I sprung it on me quickly. He was corporal. They asked him to be staff sergeant, but he didn't want to take those soldiers' lives in his hands, so he refused.
And who did you say his general was?
Patton, George Patton.
And did he tell you what he was like?
What?
Did your husband tell you what George Patton was like?
Well, he never met him, but I know for a fact he was rough. He went in the hospital. There was a little 19-year-old boy had just, the war had just gotten to him. He was cracking up, and he was sitting on a stool crying, and he took his gloves and smacked him so hard he smacked him off the stool and told him to be a man. And some of the soldiers in there came to his rescue. I read that in the book.
Could you tell me any more stories you heard from your husband?
Mike probably could tell you more than I could, because he don't forget. Let me see what else. No, just, war was hell, he said. That's the way he said it. It was Battle of the Bulge was awful. It was cold, with snow on the ground. Just a bad situation.
Do you remember what other battles he was in?
Let's got a book that they sent him after he came home with this all that in it, but I don't know if he knows where it is now. He fought on the Rhine River. I've heard him talk of that. Italy, France, Estonia, the Battle of the Bulge, all of those. And he wasn't over there. He went over there in December, at the very last of December. And it was over in what, May? When was it over?
I think May sounds right.
It was over shortly, but he did his part of fighting while he was there.
So what year did he go over?
44,
44.
July 44. He took his training here at Camp Landing, but then he went over, got on the boat Christmas Eve, going to Germany.
Did he serve any time after the war?
No.
No, he came back after the war was
He
over.
was glad to get out. They had him over there just doing little things. When they told him that he was going home on an emergency furlough, he was sitting in the float working on a gasoline little stove. He said he almost had a fit. He was so glad to get away from there. Now he went back to work for Reynolds.
What work did he do?
Something with metal.
I think we're done. I think that's all I need to know.
I think that's about all I know.
All right. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, you are good. Ever since I had those strokes, I get like this. You would make a good reporter. You were good at this.
Thank you.